Hi there, it's Catherine, your lawyer friend and guide, and this is the #1 podcast for legal careers in Japan. Hi there, it's Catherine, your lawyer friend and guide. Thanks for tuning into Lawyer on Air. I'm coming to you from New Zealand. It's early summer here and I'm remote working on low power mode and enjoying the inspiration of this fresh air and the beautiful hydrangeas behind me in my mum's garden. If you didn't already know, hydrangeas are one of my very favourite flowers. So let me tell you about today's guest, who is Emi Takeda, and she is General Counsel at Accenture, Japan. She holds an LLB from the University of Tokyo and an LLM from Columbia Law School, and she's admitted to practice in both Japan and in New York. Beyond her impressive career, she's also a mum of 3, a classical guitar enthusiast, and a certified sommelier of Japanese sake and of wine. Cheers to that, Emi. In this episode, Emi shares a pivotal moment in her career. She was attending a course on executive presence, and she learned how showing up through how you dress, how you speak, and how you carry yourself really shapes your success as a leader. Well, let's dive into my conversation with Emi, filled with very actionable insights and inspiration. Let's get into it. Hello, Emi, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Catherine. I'm super excited to be here.
Yay. Well, imagine we're going for a drink together.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going to go and what would you order?
Great question. So I think there is super nice sushi restaurant nearby from my office in Akasaka, Tameiki-san no. And every time visitor from global comes to Tokyo, I take them. So take him to the sushi restaurant.
What's the name of that place?
Yes, the place is Sushi Kuon, Kumagai.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very 1 minute from office. So I always take them. I take global leaders to there. And the good thing is it's very private place, and also it's counter, and the sushi chef makes the sushi in front of the guest, and also he can explain what the fish kind of fish in English. And the best thing is their selection of sake is amazing.
Thank you. What kind of sake? I mean, what kind of sake do you like? Do you like dry?
Yes, I prefer dry sake, but there are a couple of type of sake like junmai or ginjo. But ginjo is more fruity, but I prefer junmai type sake. Junmai is having more higher percentage of rice polishes. So
yeah, and the higher the percentage of the rice polishing, the better quality of the sake. Is that right?
A higher percentage of polishing, which means more than 60%, 70%. I can sense the taste of rice itself. So I feel like taste of rice, it's more like having a body.
Body.
But, if the percentage is smaller, like less than 50%, like 40%, 39%, it's more pure type sake. So it's like a more fruity flavor comes out. So it's called ginjo type. So
I'm remembering from your bio, you are actually super interested in sake, aren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, actually I have sake diploma from Japan Sommelier Association. So
how did you get time to do that?
I just enjoy studying sake.
Oh.
And also, wine. Also, I have a wine expert licensed by Japan Sommelier Association. So
one of my often asked questions is something about you that people don't know. Perhaps that's the front question, that
yes.
maybe people didn't know that you have a wine expert qualification as well as a sommelier qualification with sake as well.
Yes.
Woo, you're the lady to go to with the wine and the sake menus, right? To choose which one. Fantastic. Well, apart from wine and sake, we're going to get into the podcast now and the questions. And I know you've just been doing so much over your career. And so I want to hear your insights, how you've managed a team, work-life balance, all kinds of things like that. But let's go back to your law career, because you were attracted to study law for some reason. Do you remember why you chose law?
Yeah, so when I decided, it was when I was high school student. And at that time, I was vaguely thinking that I want to keep working for something as a professional. But I lived in Shizuoka Prefecture and Fuji City. It's very suburb area, and I didn't have much information to be honest. But my vague image of as a professional could be like either doctor or
Oh.
lawyer. I thought lawyer would be more interesting because I like logical thinking, and also it's something like a thinking like puzzle. So I like logical
Mm.
thinking, and also lawyers provide fairness to society. So that's very attractive to me to the law area.
And you went to Tokyo University or University of Tokyo to
Mhm.
study. What was that like? Did it shape your
Mm.
ideas or perception about the law? Being at Tokyo University, the top university in Japan,
Yes,
correct?
so
Yeah.
yeah, it's still very rare that a girl, a high school student, go to University of Tokyo.
Is
So
that right?
I feel still minority because lots of friends around are from top private school, mostly Tokyo or major cities, and I feel minority coming out
Mm.
from out of Tokyo and also female student. So I started with like a culture shock. I thought University of Tokyo is something like I throughout the past thing, everything and go to there and have to
Ah,
succeed or that kind of motivation I have had. But other students around, so who are majority coming from private school in Tokyo, they think Tokyo University is like a no, normal thing.
really?
Yeah, yeah, normal path to go. So that's the first thing I felt a culture shock. So, but the good thing of University of Tokyo is for the first half, so first and second grade of university, the subject is not limited to law. So I
Ah,
can take every interesting subject. The law study will start from third grade when student move to main campus.
I see. So what
Mm.
other topics did you do before you did law proper?
Of course, some basic law study may start like a constitutional law, but other stuff I took, I still remember I took some course at agricultural department,
Oh,
agriculture
interesting.
department. Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, and University of Tokyo has lots of facilities around Japan, and at the summer vacation period, they had a course. So agriculture department provided a 3 days course in Hokkaido. University of Tokyo having a forest, big forest in Hokkaido for the
Whoa.
research purpose. So agriculture department do some research activities in Hokkaido and provide course to junior student of University of.
So interesting.
Mm.
You know, that feeling of being the minority woman, and also you came from where Mount Fuji is,
Yes,
outside it, right?
Fuji
Mount,
City. Yeah,
yeah,
Fuji
Fuji City.
City.
So you are coming into Tokyo and being at the university and different
Mm.
to others. Has that impacted you even now? You felt the majority, but you were the minority. Does that
Mm.
still play a part in how you think about your clients or your internal clients or people now? Does it make you feel empathy towards them, perhaps?
Mm. The feeling of the minority, it now disappeared, which is good. But
Okay.
kept having that kind of feeling maybe
Mm,
after like 5 years or so after
mm,
after becoming lawyer, because those who come from private school, they already had network, not only the same grade, but also the older people and younger people. They already have a like a vertical network community already.
interesting.
And I felt that they have like advantage that they already have community network and OB network. They have solid network even in law industry. Mm.
Interesting, isn't it?
I felt that very I envy them. But now I think I made lots of friends and network by myself. So
Yeah.
I feel now it's okay.
It almost makes me feel like that story of the hare and the tortoise. You know, the hare, the rabbit is running and
Yes.
thinks it's going to win the race because it's the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all equipped. It's got everything it needs. It's got
Mm.
the big, strong legs and runs the race. And the turtle or the tortoise is sitting there slower
Yes.
and maybe doesn't have the network, has got the smaller, shorter legs. It seems a little bit like you're saying a community
Mm.
already inbuilt and then a community that's not there. But actually, the tortoise, the slower one, won the race in that story, right? So you made what you're saying there made me think about that and how maybe you've got your community, but it doesn't mean you can't still build your own network in your own community in your own way. I
Mm.
love how you did that. And then, you're talking about minority, but you must have also felt that when you went to America, because you went there to do an LLM at Columbia Law School. How was that, and how did that change your perspective, perhaps, on becoming an international lawyer?
Yeah, so I had a vague dream to live in out of Japan some days. Actually, it was first time to live outside Japan when I studied LLM. And the study at LLM is very, again, culture shock.
Yeah.
So the way of teach is totally different. So in University of Tokyo, it's really lecture style. Professor keeps telling and student quietly taking note. So that's kind of style Japanese student very familiar with. But LLM class is totally different. So-called Socratic method. Every professor
Yes.
takes it, and communication is a key. And it's very like bilateral.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
back and forth. You've got to
back and
be
forth. Mm.
focused and participating, right? You can't
Yes,
just sit there and,
participating.
"Oh, I'm
Mm.
taking notes, I'm fine." You've actually got to be part of it, don't you?
Yes, yeah, have to be part of it. And I think I also learned a lot that contribution is the key. So just sitting there quietly, saying nothing to don't participating in the discussion doesn't mean anything. So it doesn't really reflect it to the grade. So if you would like to get the seat, I have to contribute to the discussion. So I think that
Oh.
that's kind of like mindset change is the biggest outcome studied at law school.
Yeah, interesting that contribution is key. And did you find over the time that you actually wanted to be asked? Like that you wanted the professor to say, "Hey, Emmy or Ms. Takeda, what's your opinion on that?" Did you
Yes.
wait for it then to happen? Because this is interesting.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, naturally, I got super nervous, but I try to be prepared anytime when I asked questions, if I can say anything. But it took time for me to get used to the style. So maybe
Ah.
the first half of the semester, I was so quiet. But second half, I gradually started saying something.
You can see
Mm.
why this really gets American people, for example, or others who learn the Socratic method at law
Mm.
school, how they get prepared for then future working in companies or
Mhm.
working because they have to be proactive and ask questions and participate and round a table, not just take meeting notes, but actually be there and ready for someone to ask them a question and how they're going to respond. So I think that was amazing training for you. Did you think at some point, was there one thing that happened that made you think, I'm on the right track. I really want to be a lawyer. This is it. I'm going to do it. Is there some point where that happened?
So after I passed the bar, I started training and yeah, the our moment, right? So
Yes.
after getting into the law firm, I chose international law firm to start my career, and I felt that transaction, supporting the international transactions between company and company, I felt it's quite interesting, and I felt that I'm part of or influencing the economy or big environment. So I felt that from the start of my lawyer's career, I felt it was right path.
What's one of the toughest challenges that you might have faced at that first stage when you were in that company doing, or in the law firm
Mm,
doing transactional work? Was there a
mm.
challenge that came up that you can remember that you overcame and really became quite significant for you?
So when I became a lawyer, I'm still not trained as a like Socratic method. So maybe my reaction was not instant. So Japanese style I used to be it, and when I ask questions, I can say something instantly unless I'm confident on the answer. But what I learned gradually, non-Japanese people doesn't speak like that. So even as a custom. So even I'm not 100% confident. So for example, if I'm 10% confident, for example, I can say confidently for the 10%. And I can simply say 90%, I will check and come back. So respond confidently, even smaller limited portion is very important. So I
That's
think that's kind of
great.
learning.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's so good, right? I've only got 10%. No, you've got 10%.
Mm.
Use it, say it to the max,
Yes.
and then work out the rest later. I love that
Mm.
concept. I don't think I've heard anyone say that before. That's so brilliant.
Mm.
Wow. So you've also then been leading since then. legal teams in-house. What's something really amazing about leading a team that
Yeah.
you love
Yes.
doing?
So when I become lawyer, I didn't imagine that I will be leading a team.
I
So
bet you didn't. Yeah, we none of us do. And then suddenly we
yeah.
become a
Mm,
manager of a team, and it's
right. So it's
how do I
really
look after people?
yes, yes. So it's really not suddenly. So it's really gradual steps I went. So now I lead the team. I think the management style, I also have to learn how to manage. So because I'm trained as a lawyer, a practitioner, so I have to change mindset itself also. But I think now I'm prioritized to provide support or help team members to succeed. So the what I liked the speech from the business leader of my company
Hmm.
is that to help success of others and also to help success of client, and it will in the end come back to my success. So
Oh,
help
right.
others eventually, so give them and give support them and eventually come back to me afterwards.
But
So
don't some lawyers often think about your own success first?
yes, yes. So that's also
So
mind change.
how do you change that mindset? Because this is
Mm,
key, isn't it? It's thinking about the other person first. How do you change your mindset? Saying
yes.
change your mindset is quite easy, but how
Mm.
do you do that? Do you remember how you tried to do that?
So law firm more like individuals is first, but
Mm.
working as an in-house, the biggest difference is we are working as a team. Especially for me, like working at large company, working as a team and maximize team's resource and talent is the key. So when I have to change I clearly remember that 2015
Mm.
is the kind of key year for
Mm.
me. So when I first took head of legal role. So at that time, so I gave birth to my third kid and took 4 months maternity child care leave and then come
Mm.
back to work. When I come back to work, I took the head of legal role. But
Ooh.
at that time, I still didn't have much way of thinking to as a management mindset. I still didn't. I feel I still didn't have. But how I developed was after returning to work, I had an opportunity to receive a training of leadership development
Mm.
program, which this
Mm.
company provides for the like managing director
Oh.
candidates. And it was very full of contents how to build the leadership mindset and including executive presence. Which is also interesting concept, I think. So executive presence. So it's something connecting that even 10%, if I say confidently, it sounds like a leadership attitude. So executive presence coming from that, how I appear, how I look from other people. It's very important how to behave as a leader.
Ah.
Mm,
Wow, that's amazing. Is there anything more there, or how did you find, I mean, executive presence sounds incredible. So how do you show up? What's different between before you learned about executive presence and now? Can you think
mm.
about previous Emmy and now Emmy with executive presence? How does she show up that's
Mm.
different?
So previously, when I have to say something in front of large audience, I felt I'm not the right person to say that.
And that's
So
just from a confidence
yeah,
feeling, is
it's
it? Yeah.
confidence feeling. Yes,
Even
yes.
if you knew the work, you'd still feel that way.
So
Mm.
even if I knew the work and also got the role, I felt that maybe someone else maybe have a probability to do that. So after learning executive presence, if I get that chance, I have to take that and think later if I'm
Think
fit to the
later.
role. Think later if I fit to the role. But I think it's important to take the role and behave like the position,
Right.
the
Take
role.
it and then
Take
think
it
later.
and then
Just do
maybe
it.
learn later.
Oh, very interesting. Well, I think you've been recognized as a top in-house lawyer as well, right? On the GC Power list. What do you think contributed to you receiving that?
Yeah, thank you very much. So the first time I took the award was 2021.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you haven't just won it once.
Yeah, so so
Or been
2020
awarded it, right? You haven't been awarded this GC Power list.
recently,
Yes.
yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So 2021 was the first time I started receiving awards. And
Right.
it was in-house, from ALB, in-house
Yes.
lawyer of the year I took.
Yeah.
And
So in 2021, you received the award for In-House Lawyer of the Year.
yeah, and also in-house team of the year and innovative team of the year.
So
I
three
took,
awards in 2021.
yes, three
Is this
awards.
after this is after you've taken this executive training and become
Yes, yes,
the
yeah,
leader
after
of
the training. Mm.
mm,
But
yes.
before, under 2022, I also took the in-house lawyer of the year again and woman of the year. And then after
Oh,
GP
sorry, you
power.
just glossed over that. Just hang on a minute. So
Yes.
in-house lawyer of the year, but also in-house woman lawyer
It's
of the
yeah,
year.
2022.
Okie dokie.
So 21 is 3 hours, so one
Yes.
individual, two team hours, and 22 is two individual hours.
Two individual awards. So that's
In-house lawyer of
interesting.
the year, woman lawyer of the year, and then after I took like a GC power list. I normally maybe without executive presence, I don't even try to apply so hard.
There you go.
Mm. Mm.
Right. So we wouldn't even think about applying for that or being submitted for that if we
Mm.
didn't recognize or have some sort of understanding that executive presence helps us
Mm.
and to put something forward, say
Yes.
yes and think about it later.
Yes. Yes.
What is it that helps those contributions, right, to being in the award list or being in the power list? What is
Mm.
it, do you think, that they're looking at and seeing? Because I'm not here talking about you personally, although I am, but it's really about what do you think are the aspects or the skills or the attributes
Mhm.
that the judges are looking at to help other people think about how they can
Okay.
apply. So, what do you
Mm.
think they saw in you?
So I think contribution not only so judges looking maybe not only company within company but outside of company's
Oh.
contribution is also important. And so why I decided to apply for the award in
Hmm.
2021, but it was a 10-year anniversary with current company.
Oh,
So
interesting.
mm.
Okay.
So I thought it's time to look
Nice.
back. Yeah, look
Yeah.
back decades as an
Yeah.
in-house.
And that's really great, isn't it, to reflect on the time that you've done and what you've
Mm.
passed in your career and what you've
Mhm.
achieved.
Yes, yeah. So it's a
Mm,
very nice moment to look back the decade
sure,
and
sure,
and
sure.
so that's one reason. The other reason is at that time, 2021, you may recall that it's COVID
Yes.
moment.
I
So
recall that. Mm,
people work out from home, even legal members have to stay
yeah.
at home and didn't have much in-person communication. So I felt that applying for the award may help to
Mm.
raise engagement of the team.
Oh, to raise the engagement of your team.
Mm.
How does it raise the engagement of team? Do they
Ah,
submit for the award, or you're telling them that you're going to submit for it? So come on,
mhm.
everybody. How does it raise the engagement?
Ah, so for
Mm.
team hours, I created a work project team from legal
Award
members.
project team.
Award submission project team for the team award. So
Great.
get the people from the team and then had a meeting, regular meeting, and then discuss strategies how to apply which outcome, which achievement we should pick. And together we did a drafting of each achievement and then discuss again and which category, which work we would submit. So I think that's path of discussion, working together for the team, one common objective. I think it's helped to look back good thing we have done.
Super strategic. It's like
Yes.
any other project you would do at work. You do it as an award submission project team. You heard it here. I think that's incredible. And also getting
Mm,
everyone involved means maybe there's some projects came up that nobody else knew about
mm,
or that they hadn't highlighted, but this gave an opportunity for them to
mm.
actually talk about their project and be feeling good about it, right?
Yes, yes.
As well. So there's lots of different things that come from that. That's so interesting.
So actually, individual award
Mm.
was byproduct to me.
A
The
byproduct.
team award is the main.
Some people say, why should you submit for awards? You know, why would you do that? It should be that it comes from someone else who submits for you. But actually doing it as a team, as a
Mm,
strategy, like you've done, is super amazing for the team. It brings them together. You become more of a team. And as you
mhm,
said, getting an individual award was a byproduct.
Ah,
I've never
yes.
heard anybody say that
Sorry.
before, too. That's amazing. Is there anything else about awards that you want to say? Would you encourage people who are listening to apply for something and try
Yeah,
and
I
get an
think
award?
I think
Mm,
even in individual world, it's good to look back at what's the outcome. And so daily life, I think everyone is super busy for,
yeah.
but I think preparing for awards, it's really looking back what I've done and also focusing on good thing, right? So
Mm,
for awards, we only focusing on the more appealing outcome, good
mm.
thing. So no one is focusing on negative or
Negative things. So it sort of
yes.
flips it to it and bring a good mindset and a good
Yes.
feeling to your brain and your body
Mm.
when you do that.
Yes.
So you're managing a huge team. I don't know how you do it. Many people, I think, who will be listening to this wondering how Emmy is managing such a big team. Can you tell us any tips for managing a large team? How you go about it? How do you
Mm.
keep your communication with them?
So I think keeping the strong leadership team is the key to start with. So in order to do that, growing the team members to take the leadership role, and also went to external source to
Mm.
hiring of the leadership level. So building the more like strong leadership senior people first, and then bringing up junior people is the key.
I
For
see.
me.
So we often hear that women don't want to take up leadership positions. They're offered this
Mm,
position and they say no.
mm,
We hear this a lot, and I want you to debunk, right?
mhm,
Demystify this and say, no, we can actually motivate people to get there. How do you do that? How do you motivate people? And for me personally, it's about not just saying, hey, you can be a leader, go for it. They need to hear how I am going to support them to be that leader.
mm.
That's my personal opinion. How about you? What do you think it is that is necessary to motivate someone?
I think building small success
Oh,
experience is important. So confidence, so growing confidence is the key to motivate female, especially female, to take the responsible leadership role. So in order to do that, start from building the success, such as managing small team or succeeding to close a big deal. So that kind of each step means. So and also recognize those outcomes, such as managing small team or finishing up successfully the certain project. So recognizing each activities is also important to grow the confidence.
interesting. And are there any
Hmm.
qualities or skills or ways of doing things that you think is really essential for advancing to be a senior leader?
I think optimism is important. Optimism.
Optimism.
So don't worry too much in advance.
Huh.
I think it's not limiting to legal field, but also business side, looking to colleagues. So female kind of common feature like imposter syndrome, it also says that if female offered a role is hesitation comes first.
Mm.
And but I think it's important to take the chance first and then building a small success,
Do you
confidence.
just take the chance? Do you
Yeah,
just say
take
yes and then, like you just said before, think later?
yes, yes.
Wow.
That's the key. Mm.
And do you ask for help along the way, or what do you do when you've said yes and then it's like, what have I done? I said yes and I don't know what to do. What's the
Mm.
next step after saying
Ah,
yes?
right. Mm.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have some mentor type of people around. So my mentor, I think, it's not like a formal
Hmm.
mentor-mentee relationship, but I feel that person is mentor. It's something close to me and working day to day, and still very senior and also having experience. So I have someone in Japan, also out of Japan, but I can go and ask views, and then those senior people gives me different perspective. When I have to make difficult decisions, so it's sometimes challenging decisions if I have to make. I usually go to several people who I can trust their view, and then after hearing their views, I make a
Mm.
decision. Hmm.
I see. Is it not embarrassing to go and ask somebody something you don't know?
I don't think so. So that's also change of mindsets. It's not embarrassing at all. So
Mm.
even people who ask questions feel I'm not having proper knowledge, but I intentionally don't worry about the reaction.
Oh, very good. Is there something else that's happened too that often people think about lawyers or about a law career? They assume this is what happens, but actually, your reality is it's not like that. So, like a debunking a theory. Have you got any example of something like that happening?
Mm. I think the career myth of maybe female is too brave to take leadership role can be a myth, but each female taking leadership role, and then if we have more examples, that myth may change, right? Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to, say, young lawyers who are listening to you and thinking, wow, I'd love to have an in-house legal career myself. What kinds of things do you think they should be focusing on? Maybe it's
Mm.
skills, maybe it's other things that you think, maybe Emmy's top five or top three even, that you think that they should be concentrating on to really be
Mm.
successful? Because you've seen a lot of successful people, and I'm sure
Mm.
some others that may not have been as successful and something let them down. What would be your top tips for young lawyers coming up the ranks?
So I think being flexible to the chance and don't limit the view by yourself. So if young lawyer think I like to be like top lawyer in this industry or in this field, maybe the industry itself may succeed, grow, or maybe decline. So no one can tell. But rather than focusing on narrow area, it's good to have like wider view and flexible to change the like expertise. Like one
Mm.
industry goes down, maybe other industry or bigger. If the person having bigger view can take other booming area. So being a flexible, having open mindset and get the chance is the
Mm.
important thing.
Anything else?
As an in-house counsel, it's important to be bilingual. Bilingual
Mm.
meaning business term and legal term. It's not like
Mm.
English, Japanese, but
No,
yeah,
bilingual in both business and law.
yeah. When I worked at law firm after several years as an in-house, I happened to discover my email I
Oh,
wrote while I was in law firm, and I kind of very surprised the style of the email.
what was different?
It's too long and it's precise, but not thinking about how if business people can read it and instantly understand what I want to say. But
Wow.
after getting into in-house, I naturally learned how I can best communicate to business leaders, especially senior business leaders. They are super busy, so I have to say the point first very concisely. So that's the key. So maybe I naturally developed that kind of sense after working as an in-house. So I still see that some people directly join from law firm initially struggle with the communication style. So law firm
Sure.
yeah, like communication style and like in-house. So some people are quite good at communication, but so it of course depends on the style. But for myself, I thought that it's very important to understand the business, what kind of language business people are using.
So
And
how do you do that? Because, we're lawyers, we learn a certain
mm,
kind of language. So how do you suddenly or gradually even
gradually, yeah,
convert
gradually.
to being a business-minded lawyer? So for example, that email, it'd be great to have that email in front of us now and go, how would I change this into a business-minded
Mm,
lawyer legal advice? What's key in that? And using the words, you said that, using the language of the business people. But what
mm.
else? What does a business-minded lawyer look like?
I think it's important to understand their special term. So what kind of term they are using in the consulting
Mm,
industry or
mm,
yeah, each industry may have
yeah.
different terms. So
Yeah.
learn about their jargon.
Jargon, right? Yeah.
And use that expression when I speak with them and
Mm,
explaining legal stuff. So it's
interesting.
very gradual. So understand, communicate. I learned through the communication and reactions from the business. So if
Ah,
business people doesn't understand, they
they
blunt,
look curious, don't
yeah,
they?
they look
Yeah.
curious. Yes.
Yeah. So you mentioned for young lawyers, their success for in-house being flexible.
Mhm.
and also having this bilingual business and law. Is there anything else that you think would be good success tips?
Mm. So I think yeah, it's important to say no clearly. I have to say no. So yeah, it's sometimes happen maybe client, super demanding client or super
Mm,
demanding business people pushing to legal to say yes. But if you feel it's not right to say yes, we have to clearly say it's no. That's why I think important. So at the beginning of our conversation, I said law is logical and also fairness is fairness
yes.
and the more bigger viewpoint we should have. So showing understanding to the business people that they want this thing happen, they want this opportunity, but still
Mm,
I think it shouldn't happen from law perspective. I have to be objective to the situation and have to say no. So I think we are not doing like beauty contest or we don't have to be literally liked from business, but it's also meaning that I'm professional. So as a professional lawyer, I have to be objective to and have courage to deliver my comments,
mm.
even if I may face lots of pushback.
Exactly. And I think you're right there is that sometimes we feel we have to be liked. I guess it's really respected is the thing that we really want because we want people to actually follow what we're saying and understand and come back to us again to get our advice before they maybe take a step. It could be the wrong direction. So, in order for you to have it not as a beauty contest, is it the way you say something to the business people that matters, using their jargon, but also the way you deliver it?
Mm. I think so too. So the way where I deliver the basics of communication, I show the understanding, sympathy that I understand that you want this happen. I want to help this happen, but
Right.
this issue has to be solved before that.
Right, right. Okay.
Mm.
Wow. I mean, people see you as very successful and managing teams so well in the market. They know you've got a great reputation and that you've won these awards, but nothing is ever smooth sailing,
Mm.
right? The boat on the water faces the rough seas. What kinds of rough seas have you come across in your career? It might be dealing with a challenge that you've had. Maybe it's internal client, maybe it's with your staff, maybe it's a feedback that you got that wasn't what you wanted to hear. But tell me about a situation like that that might have happened for you that we can learn from how to navigate something that's a rough sea and what to do for your go-to strategy to help yourself through those situations.
Mm. I have many that kind of challenging situations, and I feel surrounded by
Mm.
people who are not agree with what
Mm.
I'm doing. So
Mm.
sometimes, but I have to do that, say that. But I feel sometimes surrounded by people who resist to me. So in that situation, there's even only one or two people who support me. May not be close, maybe outside of Japan or maybe outside of legal. But if I have someone, especially senior one, who supports me and giving me advice, I think I can keep going. So as I said, this job is not like a beauty contest.
Right.
But sometimes I have to achieve some outcome, even though there are lots of resistance. In many times, I have to face the resistance and speak with stressed people. But even in such situation, it's still stressful. It is. But if
Mm.
I have someone I can speak and someone stand by, mentally stand by, I think I can still go with
Wow.
it.
Can you
Hmm.
think of someone who's given you some really good advice and what it was? Maybe some of the best advice you've ever received?
Mm. So the person also had the same situation, but it wouldn't continue forever. So eventually, like maybe not soon, but 1 year or after, or may take time. But eventually, if I keep doing the right thing, situation will get better. And that's true. I think from my experience, I think that's true. Even tough situation wouldn't continue forever. So it
Right.
calm down after a few months, so or year.
That's true. It's like, I think in English we often say, this too will pass. There will always be clear skies sometime. It might rain for a while, but it will never stay around forever. right? You'll get through it. And I think that's a really important piece of advice that you've drawn out there. You've got a family that you're helping support as well as this team. How do you stay organized? Have you got any tips for being really productive amongst all of
Mhm.
these responsibilities you've got? I'd love to know.
Yeah, so it's really juggling day to day life.
Juggling.
It's very juggling. So yeah,
Mm.
so I have three kids and high school student is the only high school, junior high, and elementary school. So
Oh.
three of them, each kid going to different
Different
school.
school
So,
level,
and
right?
level, school level, and also each school having like sports day, cultural day,
Exams
so
and
parents' day.
parent day. Oh my God.
Yeah, so it's really juggling. So my schedule management is really short, getting shorter and shorter. So I cannot, I think a week schedule, checking schedule, so the week level or even splitting the week, like first half of week, second half of week.
Mm.
And consulting with my husband, also arranging care of my kids, such as asking support to babysitter or my mother-in-law,
Your
or
mum.
kind
Hi,
of
mother-in-law. Thank you.
yes, yes. I have a good mother-in-law support us, and
Mm.
so it's really juggling. So,
How about younger lawyers who might be also trying to juggle or think they can't juggle and have to just do work? How do you advise them or help them to think about achieving so-called work-life balance? What's key to doing that?
I think it's important to continue work, so not quitting. But no, so
Hmm.
the way of thinking is not white and black.
Not white and black.
Even gray is a meaning that so I want to do this thing, but in gray period, you can do everything, right? And have to save time, save energy, like can achieve like 50 or 70% for each task you want to do 100% if you can use all of your time. So I understand the gray period is very hard to stay, but it wouldn't continue forever. So it's important to even gray, not white and black, but even gray, a tough period, continue the work and continue building like aspirations, working is very important.
So if you were looking back in time to Emmy, who's what, 15, 16 years ago, what's a one piece of advice you would give to her, looking back and say, "Hey, Emmy, here's my advice for you." What
Mm.
would that be?
So I'd say don't worry too much about future. So yes,
Mm.
15 years ago, I tried to think like mid-term or longer term career, like 5 to 10, after 3 to 5 years or after 10 years, I want to be this image. So that kind of career goal
Mm.
aspirations I was thinking. But now I think about career plan much shorter period, like 1 year or even half year.
Mm.
So don't worry too much to the future more than like year, 2 years ahead because environment changes and opportunity may come from suddenly from out of my imaginations. So in order to keep flexible, it's important to have like short-term image of career and keep open and flexible to the situation change.
I was going to ask you how you keep motivated and maybe being this flexible minded person is part of that or thinking more shorter term and not too long. But is there something else that keeps you really motivated in what you're doing and how you keep your skills really sharp and you stay inspired in your legal career? What's your key?
Mm.
What's your magic sauce? What is it?
I intentionally spare my time, start like 10 to 20% ideal, spare time for my investment to myself. So studying or reading books and studying includes law and also out of the law. So I try to allocate time to brushing up myself. So I think having
Ooh.
that part of self-improvement time, it's important to keep the energy to moving forward. And if I have to focusing on emergency matters, I think I can still keep flexible if I have some spare time
Mm.
for myself.
Well, they say often, isn't it, that if you
Mm,
have a salary, you should invest save at least
Yes.
10% of it. So
Yes, yes.
you're saving a 10% of your valuable time for yourself for this kind of effort. And I think that's really important. And we can miss that though, and just let it go by and not read a book or not study something that's outside of the law or do something else that's interesting like those qualifications you've got in sake and wine. What does your typical day look like then when you're getting up in the morning, probably, I'm not sure what time. Tell me what you do for your typical day.
So waking up 6 a.m. or
Six.
around that,
Yeah.
and then drink a water and open the window and change the air, come in the fresh air,
Nice.
and then I start making lunchbox for high school and high school kids, and feeding kids for go to school, and my kids. So around 8 a.m. my youngest kid go to elementary school, so that's the last go out to the school. And then I started preparing for the work of the day. So check from schedules, what's happening today or this week. So it's like weekly level schedule
Mm.
management. So so what I think about what I would prepare for the meeting also. So having a vague image first and then start working. And when I'm drafting or when I have to prepare for some presentation or writing something, I focusing on what I'm doing now, and I intentionally don't responding to emails or responding to chat. I intentionally focus on what I'm doing now, and then maybe check later or respond later.
That is gold because we are often so distracted by
Yeah,
what's
this.
pinging us now, especially
Mm,
chat. It almost demands your instant reply.
mhm,
So you are not responding to those. I mean, obviously, if there's something urgent, you would, but
mm,
you are purposely not doing that, not replying to all the emails now. You're focused on the moment, what's in
mhm.
that moment of work that you need to accomplish.
Yes. So
Mm.
when I attend meeting, I use my iPad. So
Yes.
iPad is the really good friend, good friend on my work. So I take a note by iPad, and some people take note by PC. But if
Mm.
using PC, it's very email comes in
You've
or
got to,
Teams
yes,
chat
and you've got
coming.
to
It's very
type things.
distractive.
So
So
you're using a pencil for your
mhm,
iPad, right?
yes, pencil for iPad
Perfect. And it
for
looks like you're
focusing on the
writing
meeting.
notes, right? And that's a natural thing, whereas
Mhm,
sometimes typing looks like you're doing something else.
yes. So
Ah,
even typing, taking note of meeting, I feel it's maybe distractive for other people
yeah.
attending the meeting. So I focus on iPad and taking notes manually. So by
Okay.
doing that, I can focus on the meeting.
Really great tip. And so you're working through your day, and what happens? You do emails and chats after you've finished that focused work?
Yeah, focus time is normal like 30 minutes cycle. Well,
Oh,
1 hour if longest, but normally like 30 minutes or so. And then check emails, and if there is any urgent thing happens, I spare time for that as well.
wow, amazing. Well, I also did want to ask you about looking ahead and what you see is coming through for lawyers who are perhaps facing AI issues or other pressures in the environment. What you think would be your advice or tips for people looking forward to just down the road a little bit? Maybe it's a half year, like you said, or a full year, but not too far ahead. What would be your next sort of focus areas for you in your work?
So I think it's important every lawyers to develop like interpersonal skill, like communication or understand the situation. So like human level,
Human
needs,
relations, yes.
human relations needs to brush up. So maybe the knowledge or easy drafting AI can replace in near future, but I think there's still some portion that only human can do remained. So it's very important that every lawyer has to focus on the portion that only people can do, and which is interpersonal skill. So communication and understand the situation of the client, internal client, and give advice, showing that they're standing by to them.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, I wanted to ask you a really fun question. Like, if you were going to give a TED talk, other than law or maybe adjacent to law, what would you
Mm.
talk about?
I instantly think of like maybe classical guitar or wine may be interesting, but I also think the challenges of girls who study outside of Tokyo and keep aspiration to success as a global career. I think that kind of story would be interesting.
Yeah, would you tell your own story as part of that?
Yes, I think girls out of Tokyo doesn't have much like success role models around them. So I think I can contribute or
Oh,
motivate
interesting.
them that you don't have to stay out of Tokyo or stay local, but you can have that opportunity to go to global and doesn't have to come in Tokyo because by using like Teams or remote system, you don't have to be in Tokyo to go global.
Exactly,
Mm.
absolutely. Is there something that you personally have on your agenda to learn or do more in your professional, say, bucket list that you're excited about?
So not only law, but professional bucket list, I like to sharpen understanding on like technology and data AI, which I have lots of specialist professionals around me. So because if I have the basic knowledge of technology, data AI, I can
Mm,
understand their jargon more and can communicate well, right? And mm,
interesting. And how about, you talked about this interest that you've got in sake and wine. Is there some
mm,
really great memory you've got of that time? Maybe there's a person that you met who was a famous sommelier, or is there something that happened that you really enjoyed or strikes you as a really good memory that you've got?
yeah, so I like traveling with my family, and last spring vacation we went to Uluru in
Oh,
Australia.
yeah.
There is also Ayers Rock.
Years
And
Rock, that's right.
yeah, yes, Uluru. And I took a tour of sunset tour and looking at Uluru and wine is served outside. Nice weather. So I think
Wow.
Australia wine was served and it was very delicious and looking at sunset of Uluru. So it's very
Oh, very
great moment.
nice. Really great. And I guess we're in the last final questions of the podcast. So I'm going to ask you, is there a book that you've read or a podcast you listen to that you would
Mhm.
recommend to people? Something you've read recently or listened to recently?
I always have books around me, and it's very classically popular books. But one is Lean In, the Sheryl
Oh,
Sandberg.
yes. Yeah, lean in.
Yes, it's
Have you read it?
yeah, of course, it's kind of
I see it's
Bible.
got lots of, we're on camera and I can see it, there's a lots of post-it notes and things inside the book.
Yes.
What's
Mm.
something from that book that really makes you think, aha?
Ah, yeah, so she also she discussed about imposter syndrome. So it's first time I learned about the imposter syndrome that the female doesn't have much confidence, and if offered the role, female tend to think I'm not the right position. But it's really tendency and don't have to worry. So that's also my basic thinking or
Mm.
career. And also, I like the jungle gym part. So, Chair
Ah,
Sandberg says the career development is not ladder, but ladder is vertical one way, but it's like a jungle gym. Can go to horizontal or vertical, or
it
really go
is.
to different
Yeah.
directions.
It's a
Mm.
great expression, isn't it? And what does
Yes.
lean in actually mean? Lean in as a kotoba, as a
Ah,
word or expression. What does it mean
so I
to
think
you?
lean itself is stepping into the challenges, maybe similar to the
Mm.
getting out from the comfort zone.
Yeah, getting out of your comfort zone and doing something, right?
Yeah, doing something, yes.
Wow. Thank you so much, Emmy. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Are you ready to wrap up?
Ah, yeah, I'm very enjoyed this conversation. I really look forward to speak with you, and because
Yeah.
you're also doing very important role as an external director of the major Japanese corporations. So it's very great to have
Oh,
conversation
good.
with
Well,
you
let me
today.
say, is there anything you wanted to ask me?
Yes, so how it's like to be important external role at Japanese big company?
Yeah, oh, I think the role is important. I don't think I'm important. That's the key thing, right? If you think about approaching these roles, the important thing is not to think about yourself. It's
Ah,
what
I see.
they need
Mm.
and how you can actually help them to accomplish that. It's not only a given that because you're a lawyer, you can be great with your expertise and advice and experience from a lawyer perspective. You really have to understand what the companies are trying to achieve their strategic goals, and then how your experience or your thinking, and even what you've recently looked at, like the book that you've just talked about, how you can help that general information to support the company. And often it's more guiding of everybody than it is telling them what to do, right? So really not telling people, but guiding them along the way. It's more a feeling and a person-to-person thing than it is about being a lawyer and explaining about
I
the law.
see.
They've got a legal department, so the legal department can do that. So what else can you do? Yeah.
That's a very nice way of thinking. So what else you can add to contribute to the company?
Exactly. Is there anything else you wanted to ask me?
So what do you do for your hobby or
Ah,
out of work to balance
that's a good
yourself in
point.
busy?
So some of the companies that I'm with have activities. So I love to go and watch some of the sports that we do together, rugby.
Oh,
I
really?
love going to a rugby game. If you come to a rugby game with me, I'm talking rugby union, not American football. I'm talking rugby. You will see a different personality of Catherine come out.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you
I'm
see
interested to
maybe
see
a
that.
sort of calm, collected podcast person or lawyer. But when you see me out in the middle of the grandstand with some people in the colors of the uniform of the team I'm supporting, you will see me change to being quite loud and very aggressive.
Ah, yeah, because you're from New Zealand, right?
Yeah, I'm from New Zealand, so I support obviously the All Blacks, but then some of the local teams in Japan as well. So I love that idea of changing your mood or your energy
Switching off
depending
the
on,
rugby
yeah,
mode or lawyer mode.
yeah, lawyer mode, depending what it is, because I think the energy of rugby mode helps lawyer mode, and the moderate energy of being perhaps courteous to the other team members, communicating with other team members helps. So switching rugby mode into legal mode and legal mode back. So I love doing that. I love being with my friends and going to different adventures outside of Tokyo or within Tokyo to different restaurants and having time with them. I don't have family in Japan, so my friends are my family. And so spending time with them is super important to become a normal person again, right?
Yes.
And relax and enjoy and recharge. So we've talked a lot about energy and charging up and decharging, right? Putting your battery into the socket to charge again. So I love doing that. And I tend to be a little bit creative. So I do make some jewelry and create some things, my own pieces of jewelry. So I guess it's kind of chotto komakai, right? So I'm a little bit
that's
detailed on
great.
that way. But I love that focus time of not doing anything else and just concentrating
You
on
can
one
focus
thing.
on, yeah.
One thing.
That's great
Yeah.
tips.
Yeah. So not super exciting, but all interesting, different things that I kind of find what I like to do. And sometimes I'll join some activity and then that becomes something that I like to do as well. Yeah.
Yeah, great to hear that. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
sharing
so
your
much,
story.
Emmy. Well, we do have to wind up today. Thank you so much for coming on the show and saying yes.
Yes.
And thank you to Angela Krantz for inviting you way back. And it was really great to actually see you in person recently at the Lang
Yes.
Gala. We were at the tables next door to each other and you came up to me and we had a great conversation and got you kind of ready, I think, to be here. And so, Emmy, if someone listens to this and would like to talk to you a bit more about what you talked about today, can they reach out to you maybe on LinkedIn, or is that the
Yeah,
best
of
way?
course. Yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Okay, great. We'll see you at some awards event, I expect, and can talk to you.
Yes.
And if anybody is listening to this and you've enjoyed the show, please do leave us a review. We love people writing a review to say, I really loved that episode because. Please do that. And if you are also able to send us a voice message, we can take that on my website. You can go to the episode and leave a 1-minute voice message as well. So thank you again to everybody for listening today. And as I round up every other episode, cheers, kampai, and bye for now.